G'day guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be doing my tips for round 13 of the season. Let's see how we went in round 12. Just a quick recap. 5 out of 7, not too shabby. The Doggies getting the job done over the Cats unexpectedly. The Giants also not quite getting the job done at home. Very disappointing. Giants one of the toughest teams to tip, I swear, and have been for several years. Okay, Thursday night we go to the SCG and Sydney hosting St Kilda in what's a pretty massive game really in terms of where both of these sides sit on the table. Sydney could all of a sudden go to 6 wins out of nowhere. I'm backing in Sydney for this game. Going to be pretty close, I reckon. I'm going to go Sydney by 11 points. Buddy's 350th. Sydney at home. St Kilda obviously tailed off a little bit throughout, and we know after the bye last year they weren't in great touch. And I think, Sydney, decent win over Carlton, who, can't really read too much into them, but I see Carlton and St Kilda on a similar boat, with St Kilda slightly ahead of them. Big deal for Nick Blakey, and Sydney, hopefully, you'd think getting some players back. I think they'll get the job done in what's going to be a tough clash, that's for sure. And I'm sure I'll look at the recent form guide and it'll say St Kilda have somehow won the last 5, even though Higgins missed a few last year, the year before. The Friday night game, big game we've got here. Marvel Stadium hosting the Western Bulldogs and Port Adelaide. This game will be, massive. In terms of where these sides are travelling at the moment. I can't really put much past Port Adelaide at the moment. They've been in exceptional form. I think they've won 9 in a row. Beat the Dogs at Adelaide Oval earlier in the season. And they're in arguably even better nick at the moment. So they love playing at Marvel as well and play the ground very nicely. I think they'll win narrowly over the Western Bulldogs. We move on to the Saturday, and we have Hawthorn hosting Brisbane. This one's at the MCG. If it was at University of Tasmania Stadium, it could be a bit interesting. I feel like Hawthorn have a reasonably good record somehow. Calm down there, Bill. Recently, so we can see they won the last 3 somehow against the Lions. They do only play once a year. I don't think any miracles will be performed this time. I feel like Brisbane are a better side. Hawthorn, I can see taking them up to it. Proportion. They were destroyed in the first half by Port Adelaide, but I see Brisbane being too good of a side. Don't play at the G often. It's a potential banana peel game, but I think they'll be too good. Adelaide Oval, we've got Adelaide hosting the West Coast Eagles. I think, West Coast probably played their best game of the year, actually, last week against the Pies. Crows at home a different beast to handle and hardly lose at home, let alone to one of the worst teams in the competition. So Adelaide winning comfortably, I think. Saturday night game, we got, very interesting clash. We've got Fremantle and Richmond. I feel like Richmond's form line is solid lately. However, it was a draw last year, and they play once a year, so they don't face each other too much, but I'd have to go with Fremantle based on the fact it's at home for them. They're in really good touch in season best form. Richmond, a good win over the Giants. I don't see Fremantle giving them those luxuries that they got last week. Then we got the Sunday, a couple of games. We've got North Melbourne facing off with GWS, my favourite club to tip. One of the worst. Not one of the worst, one of the hardest teams to tip because they've been really competitive most of the year and they really should have beaten the Tigers. Don't know how they didn't beat them. Don't know how people were so confident in the Tigers and they still won. I'm going to go North Melbourne. I don't know why. Maybe because I've got the Giants wrong against the Cats, which everyone would have. A lot of people probably would have tipped the Giants. I think North, the last few weeks have been really good. Very stiff not to have probably maybe 2 wins next to their name. They're much tougher side to beat at Blundstone. Port Adelaide might have different ideas if that was this year or the year before. It was very close recently in 2021. A good win from the Giants last year. But, yeah, they've been playing a lot better footy the last few weeks. Yeah, clearly it's an upset game, but I think North, no one might like GWS do the opposite of what I do. So, yeah, North being at Blundstone. Tougher team, different kettle of fish there, I reckon. Then we have Carlton and Essendon. This one's at the MCG Sunday afternoon. Sunday night, sorry. Very late game with the public holiday the next day, the King's birthday. Essendon for mine. I don't know how Carlton are remotely close. I mean, they're almost due to win one, if that's even a thing. But clearly Essendon are playing much better footy than Carlton. Carlton defensively have actually been okay, just not offensively great. I think, yeah, Essendon, with their ball movement, too quick, too strong, too good. What's the recent? I'm very interested in the recent history with these sides, and Carlton won the last three, so there you go. Whoops, I'm not changing to Carlton. I've misclicked there. That one's no good. Not going to work. Final game, we've got the King's Birthday Clash. Big Freeze, number 9. And what a game we have. Melbourne and Collingwood, who face off each year on this day. It's amazing how they're $1.90. I think maybe with Tagoe out, it's probably favoured the D's a little bit in terms of the keeping the margins pretty close there. I'm pretty comfortable going the Pies. Even when Melbourne were at their absolute best in their peak years, I still think Collingwood were able to sort of win. Remember Nathan Buckley went out on a high, beating Goodwin. So, yeah, that's I'm happy to go the Pies in scintillating form. Melbourne still have a few areas to work on. They'll be right up for it. And, yeah, will be a really good clash. No doubt about that. Well, 1990, not 1983. Didn't become the AFL till... Yeah, well, that's a good question too. All I know is it went from VFL to AFL in the 1990 season. Cats have the bye, Suns have the bye, and let's submit that. So I've picked Sydney to win, Port Adelaide, Brisbane, Adelaide, Fremantle, North Melbourne. A little bit of an upset there, or a big upset depending on how you look at it. The Bombers to win over the Blues. Collingwood to get the job done in King's Birthday Clash. So some potential... Yeah, there's lots of potential this week. A few 50-50s in there, no doubt about that. Going to be some tough games, and hopefully we are treated to a good weekend of football. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the tips predictions from myself. Don't forget to give the video a like and chuck down your tips in the description below. Very interested to see how you go with your tips this week. I appreciate you joining in, guys, and listening in, watching in. I will catch you all in the next video.